This is Project Audion, timeless audio dramas for modern times, created the classic way. Hello, I'm Larry Groby of the Generic Radio Workshop, and this month, a fresh episode of a classic radio comedy. The Great Gildersleeve is a classic show in its own right, running for 16 years. But it's also significant because it was the very first ever spin-off series. Spin-off series. The first, yeah, the very first. You know how spin-offs work. You take a popular show and you spin off some of the characters into a new series. Like how Cheers spun off Frasier, or like how Happy Days spun off Laverne and Shirley, or how All in the Family spun off the Jeffersons, or how Yellowstone has, who knows how many offspring it's have, but the very first ever spin-off happened in radio. The radio series Fibber, McGee, and Molly introduced a regular character named Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. And in 1941, the character moved to a new town and new job and was spun off into his own series, The Great Gildersleeve. A great idea and a great show. Funny enough, not only did Fibber, McGee, and Molly split into two shows, after 9 years, the original actor split from the show. Hal Peary left and was replaced by the nearly identical sounding and looking Willard Waterman. And it was still great. And now, Robert L. Mills, he's the guy who wrote for Bob Hope, right, has crafted a new episode of The Great Gildersleeve using the original favorite characters. Our coast-to-coast cast is standing by, waiting to perform a great new episode of The Great Gildersleeve.
Kraft presents The Great Gildersleeve. The Kraft Foods Company, who also brings you the Kraft Music Hall starring Bing Crosby every Tuesday night, presents Trevor Rines as The Great Gildersleeve. Created by Don Quinn and Leonard Levinson, written by Robert L. Mills, and produced by Larry Groby for Project Audion. The Great Gildersleeve will be here in just a moment, but first, here's something of great importance. A nationwide survey recently revealed that homemakers comprise the major cause of food waste, and that bread, mind you, was at the top of the list. Enriched bread is one of our most important wartime foods, so let's not try to waste a single crumb. Why not make your bread taste even more appetizing by spreading it with delicious parquet margarine, the way millions of Americans enjoy eating bread? Believe you me, bread, rolls, and muffins are eaten up in a hurry when they're spread with parquet, because this margarine made by Kraft has a delicious flavor that really satisfies hungry appetites. Parquet is one of the very best of energy foods, so it's important to serve it at every meal for good family nutrition. So be sure to buy parquet margarine. That's P-A-R-K-A-Y, parquet margarine, made by Kraft. A minor medical crisis has disrupted the Gildersleeve household, as their longtime housekeeper, Bertie, by now a beloved member of the family, must temporarily return home to care for her elderly mother, recovering from injuries received in a traffic accident. It's Saturday morning, and Throckmorton has just returned from the train station.
When I put Bertie on the train, children, she specifically asked me to apologize to both of you for not waking you up to say goodbye.
That's Bertie, all right. Always thinking of others, even when facing a family emergency.
Knowing her, by now she's made her way to the dining car and offered to help the chef.
How long will Bertie be gone, Unc?
Well, she'll be away for at least 6 weeks. And in the meantime, we just have to make do around here.
6 weeks?
How do you know she'll be gone that long, Unky?
Simple deduction, Marjorie. Bertie says her mother broke several bones when that trolley car hit her in the crosswalk, and bones usually take 6 weeks to heal.
Wait a minute. Who would a water commissioner with no medical training possibly know a thing like that?
Experience, my boy. Life's best teacher. Which I've told you numerous times, and you have just as often completely ignored.
What kind of experience?
Well, when I was about your age, I fell out of a tree. And the broken bones in my arm took just about that long to knit.
What did you knit? A sling?
Knit is the medical term for heal, Leroy. I know that sounds pretty technical for a youngster to grasp.
I grasped the knitting part, but I can't figure out why you had to climb a tree to do it.
Oh, just eat that nice bowl of oatmeal I fixed for you.
Is that what this stuff is? His got more lumps than Piggy Banks after I caught him stealing a candy bar from my lunch.
Are you sure it takes that long to heal, Uncle Mort?
I distinctly remember when the cast was removed, and I was able to resume my normal activities.
Your normal activities?
I couldn't wait to climb that tree again.
Hadn't you already learned your lesson?
Yeah, like you just told me how to do.
Do as I say and not as I do, Leroy. Another piece of advice you habitually ignore. I climbed the tree again, fell out again, and this time broke my leg.
Not even I could be that stupid.
At least it was on the other side, so it all evened out.
So, let me get this straight. Marjorie and I are stuck with your cooking for 6 weeks.
Not exactly, my boy. You no doubt have heard your uncle refer to his illustrious career as an Eagle Scout.
Yeah, especially after that time I got kicked out of the Cub Scouts for conduct unbecoming a tenderfoot.
Well, that same uncle happened to have specialized in survival skills. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, it means Marjorie and I starved to death while you're out in the woods trying to shoot a moose.
Leroy, I doubt very much that someone trained to survive for months in a remote forest would perish in the Summerfield Water Commissioner's kitchen.
I just hope we can survive on the spillage.
Well, it won't be for that long.
It is when you're eating dinner out of a can.
If canned spinach is good enough for Popeye, it should be good enough for you, young man.
Do I look like I have an anchor tattooed on my arm?
That's enough, Leroy.
Or a skinny girlfriend?
I said that's enough. It won't be for long. I'm calling in reinforcements.
What kind of reinforcements, Uncle Mort?
I'm going to run a want ad in the Indicator Vindicator for a temporary housekeeper to replace Birdie until she gets back.
The cavalry to the rescue! In the meantime, Marjorie, would you kindly pass the scrambled eggs? Those ones on the end there, without the broken shells.
Back at work again. Shoulder to the wheel, nose to the grindstone, as they say. Though, come to think of it, I've never seen a grindstone with a shoulder on it. At least not in this building. So far, so good. I've avoided Judge Hooker. Just a few more feet.
Oh, Gildy!
Oh, what do you want this time, you old goat?
You'll thank me. I just had breakfast with Mayor Terwilliger, who happened to mention your monthly water pressure report is late again.
Oh, he did he? The only pressure he's interested in is the pressure he keeps on me to be on time with those silly reports.
Silly. Don't the citizens of Summerfield deserve to know what their water pressure is?
They could just turn on the faucet. If it comes out fast, it's high. If it just drips out, it's low. Or they forgot to pay their water bill.
The mayor also told me you're looking for a new housekeeper.
Word gets around this town faster than the flu. Bertie's gone for 6 weeks, caring for an ailing loved one. I've already advertised for a temporary replacement.
Oh, any takers yet?
I'm about to find out. I included my office address so the applicants could send their references. Also, it makes the job sound more like a civic duty.
Well, good luck. And I'm sorry to hear about Bertie's mom.
At our age, we all have to be careful about breaking bones, don't we? Although I'd like to break a few of yours, you old goat. Ah, here we are. Good morning, Bessie.
Morning, Mr. Gildersleeve.
You're looking very bright-eyed and secretarial today.
I'm excited over that big sale at the Bonton, Mr. Gildersleeve. And, oh, here's your mail.
Anything interesting? Aside from this Bonton's catalog.
Well, the usual dunning letter from Mayor Terwilliger about the monthly water pressure report, and there's one from a woman with a French-sounding name that smells like expensive perfume.
Oh, really? Must be fan mail from one of my happy customers. I'll be in my office if you have any hydrodynamic emergencies. Uh-oh. I'll have to get Betty to squirt some 3-in-1 on that. Let's see here. The mayor's letter. We'll just drop that one in the ignore indefinitely tray. Bessie's right. This one does smell like it was marinated in Chanel No. 5. From someone named Yvette Dupre. She's French, all right. Dear Commissioner Gildersleeve, as you can see from the enclosed resume, I have had extensive experience as a housekeeper, caring for General Charles de Gaulle and his family during the war. I guess I'll have to take my air raid uniform out of the storage. I'm visiting relatives in Summerfield and would be honored to serve the Water Commissioner during my brief stay. Well, as they say on the game shows, I think we have a winner.
Well, good morning, Mr. Gildersleeve. What can I do for you today?
I'd like 5 of your best cigars, Peavey.
That many. Sounds like a celebration.
Well, you might say that, Peavey. I may have found a replacement for Bertie.
Bertie's been gone for 6 weeks, I've heard.
On a mission of mercy, caring for her mother, who's convalescing from a traffic accident.
Mrs. Peavey and I were sorry to hear about that. I'm glad you found a suitable candidate, though. Must have been difficult to find a replacement as kind and caring as Bertie.
Oh, it was. Peavey. Bertie is definitely one of a kind.
Yeah, you can say that again. When they made Bertie, they threw away the mold.
You're so right, Peavey.
Yes, sir. They just don't make housekeepers like that anymore.
I'm sure they don't, Peavey.
Finding good help these days is like mining for gold in the Klondike. And just last week, Mrs. Peavey and I needed a plumber. Think we could find one?
Bertie never did much plumbing.
And apparently no one else in this town does either. Just a little leak under the kitchen sink. No more than that. We're still looking.
Why don't you look under the kitchen sink?
Why would I do that?
To find the leak?
Oh, I'm not looking for another leak. We're having enough trouble with the first one.
Then what exactly is it you're looking for?
A plumber. Like I said, it's so hard to find good help these days.
Well, I'll let you know if I run across any likely candidates.
I'd appreciate that, Mr. Gildersleeve. We all need all the help we can get.
I'll do my best, Peavey, but at the moment I'm in somewhat of a quandary.
That shouldn't be a problem for you. After all, Quandary is your middle name.
Actually, my middle name is... Oh, I think you made a bit of a joke there.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say that. What's your dilemma about anyway?
Well, I would guess you've heard the applicant for Bertie's job got her experience housekeeping for General Charles de Gaulle and his family.
Yes, the whole town's been buzzing about that. A famous housekeeper visiting Summerfield.
That's not my problem, Peavey. Who Miss Dupre worked for in the past has nothing to do with it.
Well, he is a general after all. Can't go much higher than that, militarily speaking. Quite a reference, I'd say.
Yes, it is. Quite a reference, being that close to a general.
Mrs. Peavey even suggested that she may have been involved in the resistance. Lots of patriotic French civilians were, you know.
Yes, Peavey, I know, but Charles de Gaulle's rank is irrelevant.
Well, now, I wouldn't say that.
Neither would I, but what does his being a general have to do with his former housekeeper?
Oh, I'm beginning to see your point. Maybe you'd prefer someone with a little higher rank.
Higher than a general? Who's higher than a general?
A prime minister. Winston Churchill was Lord of the Admiralty. Maybe you'd prefer a housekeeper who worked for him instead.
If anything, Peavey, both girls are overqualified. My concerns lie in a totally different direction.
A different direction. And just what direction would that be?
Well, Peavey, if it's any of your business, which it isn't to begin with, if you must know, it concerns affairs of the heart.
Sorry, but I don't see the connection.
Well, if the girl served during the war, which appears to be the case, that would make her about my age.
Perhaps. So?
So, being French and all, she's probably attractive. And I'm an eligible bachelor with a high-ranking government position who's about this far from becoming engaged to Leila Ransom.
Oh, so that's the fly in the ointment.
Exactly. And I have to get it out of there before it decides to start swimming around. I imagine Miss Dupre became quite close to the general, who is, after all, over 6 feet tall, handsome, and I'm sure quite a ladies' man.
Like you. If you don't count the 6 feet tall and handsome part. And you're afraid she'll set her cap for you?
You're starting to get the idea, Peavey. I'm sure it won't sit well with Leila to have a young, attractive French girl living in my house.
I see the possible problem, but if you don't mind my suggestion, why don't you interview the girl first and then decide what to do? Who knows? She may be as homely as a mud fence.
Knowing the reputation of French women, I doubt they have any mud fences in Paris.
Well, now, I wouldn't say that.
Just get me those cigars and I'll think about it.
Well, that may be your answer right there. Once she gets a whiff of these, she'll probably run for cover.
My luck, she'll probably savor the aroma of a fine perfecto.
Well, no, I don't say I would say that.
I know,
no.
Peavey, I know.
The Great Gildersleeve will be back in a moment. But first, if the folks at your house go for late evening snacks, you'll naturally welcome ideas for tasty, yet easy-to-digest sandwich fixins. Kraft's nutritious cheese food, Velveeta, is a natural for such light bedtime suppers. Its rich yet mild cheddar cheese flavor hits the spot at any hour, and you can let the folks slice its golden goodness thick. For Velveeta is as digestible as milk itself, and it's wonderfully nutritious too. But Velveeta is more than just a snack time treat. It's a boon for main dishes as well. For instance, rich satin smooth Velveeta sauce adds a tantalizing glow to leftovers, seafood, vegetables, and egg dishes. And to make that sauce as easy as ABC, simply melt 1/2 pound of Velveeta in the top of your double broiler. Then stir up 1/4 cup of milk and season to taste. There you have it, a lickin' good cheese sauce that makes the simplest dish extra appetizing. Get it in several packages of Velveeta tomorrow, or buy the big economical 2-pound loaf. For top flavor, top cooking quality, for fine food value, get genuine Velveeta, the cheese food of famous Kraft quality. Well, Mr. Gildersleeve is on a quest to find a temporary replacement for his longtime housekeeper, Bertie, who's been called away from Summerfield for a family emergency. He's placed a want ad in the Summerfield Indicator and is anxious to interview his first applicant.
Mr. Gildersleeve, there's a Miss Dupre here who says she has an appointment.
Ah, indeed she does, Bessie. Indeed she does. Send her right in. Miss Dupre. Come in, my dear, come in. Have a seat.
Thank you, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Please, Throckmorton.
Throckmorton.
First off, I must say I'm very impressed with your resume. I mean, your war work with General de Gaulle and everything.
Oh, he was such a wonderful man to work for.
I'm happy to hear that. So, what was he really like? I mean, real life, away from the newsreel cameras.
Well, from what I've seen so far, he's very much like you, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Throckmorton.
Oh, Throckmorton.
Me? Really? A lowly water commissioner compared to a famous general.
Oh, yes. In fact, you remind me of him.
I do?
Definitely. You are kind, sincere, friendly, good-natured, just like the general.
Well, I am a past president of the Jolly Boys. That's our social club here in Summerfield. We meet once a month down at the bar.
In fact, your whole family is similar to the Gaults.
Oh, you've met my niece and nephew in the waiting room. We're having lunch later.
They're lovely children. Your nephew, Leroy, reminds me so much of the general's son, Philippe. And Marjorie reminds me of his daughter, Anne.
Oh, I'm sure they'll both be happy to hear that. Marjorie even speaks a little French. She took it in high school.
I would be happy to help her spruce up her conversational French.
You'd have time to coach her along with your kitchen duties for the next 6 weeks?
Listen, I have the job.
Of course. Out of all the applicants, after a thorough review of qualifications and much deliberation, I've made my choice. You. Congratulations.
That's great, Mr. Throckmorton. Marjorie could have me in the kitchen, and we should speak only French to each other. That's the easiest way to learn a foreign language.
And in the process, she'd be learning to cook, too. An important skill for a marriageable young lady to possess.
We believe that old adage in France, too. The most direct path to a man's heart is through his stomach.
A route that I'm sure you found to be most convenient.
Unfortunately, I have found only detours. You must confess, Throckmorton, I have never been married.
Oh, really?
What about you, Throckmorton? Have you ever been...
If you'll excuse me for a moment. Yes, Bessie?
Sorry to interrupt your meeting, Mr. Gildersleeve, but Miss Ransom is here.
Speak of the devil.
Don't mind me, Throckmorton. I am in no hurry.
Send Leila in, Bessie. I'd like her to meet Miss Dupre.
Yes, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Leila, what a pleasant surprise.
Oh, but I was just in the neighborhood.
Taking advantage of the sale at Bon Ton's, no doubt. I was just finishing up my interview. Yvette here will be taking Birdie's place until she returns. Yvette, this is my soon-to-be fiancée, Leila Ransom.
I thought I'd surprise you for lunch, Throckmorton, but I can see you all are otherwise occupied. So nice to meet you, Yvette.
I hope you two will get to know each other well over the next 6 weeks.
Not nearly as well as you two will, I'm sure. In fact, Throckmorton, I believe it will be in everyone's best interest to put our engagement on hold for at least 6 weeks, and maybe even longer than that. Don't you agree?
Of course, Leila. If there's a tree within 20 miles, I'll somehow manage to fall on it.
Just a little clip around the edges, Commish.
Don't get too near those edges, Floyd. Lately, they've been retreating faster than an outgoing tide.
Gotcha. Just got a new shipment of that bay rum you like so much. One splash of that and your new housekeeper will think she's working for Charles Boyer.
Oh, has Peavey been in here spreading false rumors?
That's no rumor, Commish. She's almost been on the cover of the Ladies' Home Companion.
Well, stop spreading false magazine covers then. Miss Dupre has been kind enough to cover for Birdie until she gets back.
She's been here a couple of weeks now, so tell me how's she doing so far?
Too well, if you ask me. Marjorie is speaking almost fluent French. Leroy does his homework at the kitchen table just to watch her work. And I've gained 5 pounds.
I noticed the extra notch in your belt when you walked in.
A month ago, I couldn't even spell souffle, and now I'm served one every day for lunch.
Sounds like you have your own table at Maxim's.
Twice a week, she serves beef bourguignon.
Me, I make it a rule not to eat anything I can't spell.
Try bouillabaisse or quiche Lorraine. I miss the good old meat and potatoes Birdie makes.
Consider it part of your international education, Commish.
I don't mind a little culture, but I don't need to qualify as the French ambassador.
You may end up working at the UN.
What does the UN need with a water commissioner?
Someone has to keep those faucets running smoothly.
Our dining room feels so much like a restaurant, I feel guilty if I don't leave her a tip.
That never seems to bother you when I get finished.
It's gotten so bad, I had to buy some new clothes that fit.
Maybe so, but I really envy you having a celebrity in the house.
It's no picnic, Floyd, no picnic. Yesterday I pulled into my driveway and there was a crowd of reporters on my front lawn. They even trampled down Molly McGee's rosebed.
Oh, that's not good.
It got worse. I thought they were there to interview me. So I launched into my usual speech.
The one about you discovering that leak in the reservoir?
I barely opened my mouth when a guy from Radio Summerfield yelled, "We don't care about that. We want to talk to General de Gaulle's housekeeper."
Oh, what'd you do then, Commish?
What could I do? I took him inside to interview Yvette, who was in the kitchen preparing bouillabaisse for dinner.
What did he ask her about?
De Gaulle, of course. So she told him how much I reminded her of the general.
Much better PR than a reservoir leak.
Actually, I thought so too. Then she added how much Leroy and Marjorie reminded her of the general's kids. In fact, she liked Leroy so much, she taught him the words to thank heaven for little girls in French.
That Maurice Chevrolet song?
And she taught Leroy how to sound just like him.
Leroy!
Speak of the devil.
What are you doing here? You're not due till next week.
Oh, I'm not here for a haircut, Mr. Munson. Our French housekeeper wants my Uncle Mort to pick up 6 lamb chops at the butcher's.
Which means she's making lamb de Provence again. The ones with those little white booties.
English translation, delicious.
That does sound good.
Oh, it is, Floyd. But I get nervous around food that's dressed better than I am.
Your uncle was just telling me about your housekeeper, Leroy.
Yeah, she's something, all right. I don't even like girls yet, but I have to admit, Yvette is pushing the limit.
Well, you'll be out of danger soon, my boy. Birdie will be back soon, and Yvette will be on her way back to Paris. I'll pick up those chops on my way home.
Thanks, Unc. So long, Mr. Munson. Dieu merci pour le petit fils grandeur tour les jours. Dieu merci pour le petit fils.
Well, now that Birdie is back, Leila, we can go back to our regular routine, like sitting out here on the porch on a pretty night, enjoying the cool breeze, providing a convenient airstrip for mosquitoes.
Y'all so right, Throckmorton. And now that Miss Dupree has returned to France, we can resume our nuptial arrangements.
Exactly my sentiments, my dear. You read my mind completely. My heart is filled with anticipation.
Well, keep a little room in there for water matters, or you'll lose your job.
And just when I bought all those new suits.
Judge Hooker and Floyd were played by Pete Lutz, and Peavey by Larry Groby. Marjorie and Leila were played by Mel Rose. Leroy, Bessie, and Yvette were played by Julie Hoverson. Music and sound patterns were by Larry Groby.
Excuse me a second, Ken. I'd like to remind everyone that United States security bonds are a mighty good investment, both for our country's future and for your future. You get $4 back for every 3 you put in. Folks, buy those bonds regularly.
And this is Ken Carpenter saying good night for the Kraft Foods Company, makers of the famous line of quality food products. Be sure to listen next Thursday and every Thursday for the further adventures of the Great Gildersleeve. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
And so concludes another half-hour episode of Project Audion. Starring in today's show were Trevor Rines in Ontario, Canada, Julie Hoverson in Washington State, Pete Lutz in Texas, Mel Rose in Pennsylvania, and Randy Cardoon in Washington State. The script was penned by Robert L. Mills, and the production was supervised by me, Larry Groby. As always, please take a moment, find the thumbs up, and like the show. Leave a comment, tell a friend. It's what keeps us going. And so, until next time, thanks for listening.
Thanks, Unc. So long, Mr. Munson. Dieu merci pour les petites filles grandir tous les jours. Dieu merci pour les petites filles.
That was beautiful, Julie.
It's from the heart.